Everybody, it's Jim Exby with Compliance Professionals. I guess you can figure out what we're going to talk about today, huh? Fires and fire extinguishers. Before we talk about the extinguisher itself, we need to know just a little bit about fires. You need a few components in order for a fire to happen. First of all, you've got to have oxygen. It's got to be present. You've got to have enough heat to raise the material to its ignition temperature. And then you've got to have some fuel around, and it's got to be, a combustible type of material. After you have those things take place, then you have a chemical reaction of some sort that all of a sudden produces fire and light, okay? That's sort of how a fire works. Let's talk about the extinguisher itself, because there's different parts and pieces to this extinguisher that everybody should know about. You could probably name them, but since we're all not here in a group, I'm just going to slowly point them out to you. First of all, you've got this tab right here. It's called a safety pin is what it is. It's like a piece that you pull out. I want to turn it a little bit so you can see that it pulls out. But it's held in place by this piece of plastic right here. Now, the reason this little plastic tab is here is because it tells you that nobody has tampered with this. If for some reason you come across a fire extinguisher and this plastic tab is not on there, go turn the fire extinguisher in. I wouldn't feel safe around it. It means somebody's torn off this tab, and it also means that somebody could have pulled the pin. Now, there are some people around who, I will tell you, pull off these tabs and take out the pins, just waiting for somebody to come along and move the fire extinguisher like this. And when that happens, everything dumps out the bottom of the hose. They think that's a funny thing to do. It's not really a funny thing to do. So you've got to have this tab right here, this pin, in order for this to really be safe. This keeps your handle or your grip from coming together. The next piece I think I better talk about is the handle itself. It's these two pieces right here. You can lift it this way. And then, of course, we have the gauge. Anybody know where the gauge is supposed to be? Right in the middle, right where the green section is. If it's too far to the right, there's too much compression in the cylinder. If it's too far to the left, there's not enough compression in the cylinder. Certainly not enough to get the chemical out. The next piece that's important to note would be this tab right here. Paper on most of them we see, and this has to be filled out and inspected every single month for the job that you're on. Every single month somebody's got to come along and inspect this fire extinguisher. One of the other things that they're going to inspect is this hose. Flexible in nature, you should be able to bend it and the rubber portion won't crack at all. And then there's the nozzle. Got to make sure there's no cracks in the nozzle and that it's also present. Take a look, if you will, down the nozzle, because we do have some people that stick gum and paper in here. It's one of the inspection points that the person has to take a look at. And then, of course, you need to be able to secure it down below. The other piece that I want to point out is the sticker on the side. This is an important part of the extinguisher itself. I mean, another portion is the cylinder. Most of them are made out of aluminum these days, but this sticker shows what kind of fires you can use the fire extinguisher on. An A-class fire. Who remembers what an A-class fire is? An A-class fire is like a Boy Scout fire. Paper, wood, things of that nature. Things that are normally easy to catch on fire if they're dry. A B-class fire is chemicals. Now, if you had a gasoline fire, could you use this fire extinguisher on it? Yes, you could. It's good for B-class fires also. And then the other square over here that I can't quite see, but I know it's there, is electrical. If you had an electrical fire, is this extinguisher going to work for you? Yep, it's going to work. So it's good for A, B, and C-class fires. Okay, now who knows how to work one of these fire extinguishers? I mean, first of all, you should have one near you. On a construction site, it should be within about 75 feet, right around in there. And then when these are mounted, they need to be mounted at least 4 inches off the ground and no more than 5.5 feet in the air. So if you do find a fire, one of the first things to do is scream fire about as loud as you possibly can, so everybody in the entire area knows that there's a problem. And then people need to start exiting, moving quickly, getting away from the fire. If you're going to grab a fire extinguisher, and that's probably going to be voluntary on your part, you need to understand how to set one of these off. It's called the pass system. Pass stands for pull the pin and hold upright. Now, I know everybody thinks they can do that, but let me tell you, when it says pull the pin, that means I want you to grab this portion right here and yank it out. I know it's held in place by the plastic part here. Don't worry about that. That'll all come flying apart. Pull that pin out. And then the next thing that you would do is point it towards the fire or aim it. You should get back about 10 feet away and then aim it at the base of the fire and work your way up, okay? You need to squeeze down on the trigger, which would be these two pieces right here. So in other words, I'm now going to fight the fire. I'm going to point this at the fire, and then I'm going to squeeze right here. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now I can tell you from experience, you're going to run out of time and you're going to run out of this liquid that's in here or the chemical that's in here. So make sure you do a good job as you point, okay? And then work your way back up. Make sure, you guys, that you sweep back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, there's a few more things that I want to mention. Each of the extinguishers should be in their designated places. So I really do want you to take a second when you're on the job site, look around and find out where the closest extinguisher is. You know, a lot of people don't take time to do that. And they say, well, fires, it's never going to happen to me. I mean, we only got guys welding over here or people with fire over here. But I can tell you, one of the largest fires in Overland Park happened a block and a half away from me. It was a large apartment complex. They had every fire engine around over there. Every fire engine in the entire Kansas City and Overland Park and Kansas City, Kansas and Olathe, Kansas was at that fire. And it happened because some guy was welding on the job and some sparks landed on the wood. Burnt the whole apartment complex down. So I know it happens. These extinguishers have got to be inspected every single month. And you can see that this one has, right? Every single month it has to be inspected. That's to make sure that all these parts on here, by the way, this hose could be a little bit tighter. There we go. All these parts are going to be working properly, and you've got an effective fire extinguisher. Always make sure that pressure gauge is showing the proper amount, right? So the other things that OSHA is going to require is it's going to require an educational program, which of course you have right now. And then all of the employees have got to be trained on fire extinguishers. So let me go over the quiz that we've had. Do you know where the closest fire extinguisher is where you work? Of course, some of you may not, and if you don't, please find it. I know I've mentioned that more than once today, but it's very important. Do you know what to do if you're caught in smoke? I've got a few answers here. Why don't you listen to what I have to say? Stay away from the ground. Smoke starts on the ground and will work its way up. That's A. B, cover your eyes with your hands and try to make your way to the exit. C, run as fast as you can, trying to keep your head above the smoke. Or C, drop to your hands and knees, crawl towards the nearest exit. That's the correct one right there. Number 3, if you are notified of or discover a fire, you should A, run as fast as you can to the nearest fire extinguisher. B, look to see if there are directions posted on the uprights or walls to see what to do next. C, exit the building, drive home, waiting to hear from your supervisor as to what you need to do next. C, yell fire, exit the building, and proceed to the area of gathering. Please don't leave the job site. Go to the area of gathering where you're supposed to be. And of course, the reason for that is because when the fireman pulls up, one of the first questions he asks everybody is everybody out of the building? Do you have a head count? We don't want firemen running into the building looking for somebody if that person, when they discovered there was a fire, ran outside, jumped in their truck, and went over to Quick Trip to get a hot dog and a pop. Everybody needs to stay on the job site. We don't want to put firemen in danger looking for people that aren't there. Question number 4. When should you use a fire extinguisher? A, only if you're trained and confident in fire extinguisher use. B, only if the fire is small in size, no larger than a small trash can. C, if you do fight the fire, use only one extinguisher and then evacuate the building as quickly as you can. Or D, as a reminder, you're obligated to fight fires of any size. No, it's A, B, and C. You're not obligated to fight a fire at any time. If you see a fire, you can exit the building. It's going to be your choice as to what to do. That's it about fire extinguishers and about fires. We tried to keep it simple for you today so that you have a good understanding of what's going on, how to handle these, and what you should do if there is a fire. I'm going to ask you to stay tuned now for a public announcement that will happen next. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. I just have some announcements that I would like to make, and I will be brief. The first item of business is we have new THA books that have been published. So from this point forward, we need to start using the new THA books. They are green in color. So all of the orange THA books, would like to have those sent back to the office. At some point, you can send those with a runner or drop them off next time you come by the office. In this green THA book, there are some additional items that were not in the first printing of the THA book. So once again, start using the green THA books from this point forward. Next item of business is on all of our projects, there are certain documents that absolutely need to be posted. The first item is the OSHA 300 law, which is this document right here. That has to be posted on the project. Next item is phone numbers and map to the clinics. Those items need to be posted. And then we have the safety commitment signed by the owner, the quality commitment signed by the owner, and the training commitment signed by the owner. Those items need to be posted. The last two documents are OSHA documents, and the first one is job safety and health. It is required that this be posted. And the last item is the pictogram, which is an OSHA document. And this is part of the hazardous communication program, but this absolutely has to be posted as well. So all of those items need to be posted on the walls in the job trailer or on the lids of the gang boxes, but somewhere they need to be posted. If we would happen to get caught in a OSHA comprehensive inspection and we don't have certain items posted, it could wind up being a fine. The last item of business is on all of our projects, Dale Ladd, Chris Smith, and Cody McCullough, they all put together site-specific erection and safety plans. So at the start of all of our projects, those site-specific erection and safety plans need to be gone over with the crew members. And once that is done, then everybody needs to sign a training muster sheet that indicates that they have been trained and know what's going on that project. That's all I have. Everybody be safe out there. Have a great day. Thank you.